35 minutes after 7 p.m. Welcome back. It's now time for the Go Wild segment. And yes, we are going to be speaking to the Kruger National Park spokesperson, Mr. Ike Pala. Now, there's been so many different talking points around, travel. And just last week on our Al Musafir segment, we spoke to Apa Mariam about how, during the COVID and during the lockdown, how the world of travel has changed. Now, tonight we are going to be speaking about the Kruger National Park online system, and it crashed after a large number of bookings. And on the line now, we welcome spokesperson for Kruger Park, Mr. Ike Pala.
Good evening to you, and thank you for having me.
It's only a pleasure, and thanks for taking the time tonight, Mr. Ike. Now, first things first. Obviously, there's been, so many citizens who are excited, happy, and relieved that we now can travel, right? Interprovincially, people can go out now. They can go to, resorts and parks and whatever destinations they can. Now, in addition to this, there's been an influx. Now, as the spokesperson, talk to us, how did the COVID pandemic affect the entire initiative of the Kruger Park before we talk about the online system?
Well, some parks, as with all hospitality establishments, welcome to the lifting of the travel bans. Because that means that livelihoods are going to be saved, that people are going to be able to return to their jobs. However, these changes imply that we have to embrace a new normal, which is governed by strict health and safety protocols, and those need to be efficiently observed to keep employees and guests safe, and also to honor the word of our president, who said that we need to keep that, to keep in mind that we are still under lockdown, that the virus is still very much alive.
Of course, yes, we have to obviously adhere to what is said. Now, I believe the park will only allow 50% of its camping and accommodation facilities to be occupied to ensure you obviously adhere with the COVID regulations, as you just mentioned. Now, talk to us about this here and for the tourists who want to visit the Kruger Park.
Well, as you rightfully say, we have those accommodation occupancy limitations. But what we can say to people who intend visiting the Kruger National Park is that prior to us going down to level 2, we embarked on a training and awareness program amongst employees on COVID-19 protocols and workplace readiness. So that work has already been done. Our OHS teams also undertook more staff workshops throughout the organization on how to prepare and safeguard themselves when paying visits are allowed to return. Up to now, we have been fortunate. We started operating by the 14th, and we have welcomed well over 15 to 16,000 people into the Kruger National Park. We are happy with the way the systems are holding. People are observing, but we've realized that some of our clients, they sometimes, when they are in public areas, take off their masks, but we do have compliance officers who are working very hard to ensure that all of us are safe.
Now, Mr. Ike, many people and tourists who want to visit the park have been requested to be patient, I believe, because the online booking system went down, obviously due to the influx, right? Now, they're obviously excited and they will now be free to travel, as I mentioned. Now, obviously, SENParks are urging visitors to be patient at the gates because I believe they are obviously screening of visitors there, etc. Talk to us about this process and what should the tourists be aware of.
Let's start off with the last week. Operational teams have worked very hard to regularize our ability to function optimally. And as such, we would like to announce this evening that the head office reservation call center in Pretoria is now operating at full capacity. The online booking system has been stabilized and all technical disruptions resolved. The accommodation in the majority of our parks is now fully operational, with the exception of the Kruger National Park, which, as the largest park in our networks, is opening in a
Yes.
multi-phased approach due to refurbishments that are nearing completion. Remember that when people left the park during the total lockdown, only essential staff were asked to remain in the park. And as such, it was taken over by the animals that reside in the wild, because those are wild animals and mainly primates. You also had birds which occupied some of the chalets. So we have to start refurbishing those before we can go to 100% occupancy rate.
Yes, it's amazing the way nature is, and even though there's no tourists, it is the habitat, the animals rule the park. Now, you mentioned, screening and training of the staff, the occupational health and safety, right? Talk to us about, the training of the staff. Were there any challenges, etc., and how were they coping with that?
Obviously, all of us had to readjust to this new normal. We had to make changes, but we were on top of it. We started first by formulating operational systems where we could talk to a document that will guide us throughout all of this. And that was informed by the World Health Organization protocols. After formulating that document, which became alive, we then went on a roadshow. The Kruger National Park, as I presume everybody knows, it's about 2 million hectare property. So from the north to the south, you have to take the whole week in order to try and induct people into the new way that things are done. Limitations were
Yes.
also on the number of people that we could have in the park at that stage, because we didn't know when was travel going to be opened. But we were training the trainers and appointing compliance officers. I can say up to now that the colleagues at OHS, they did an excellent job. Everybody is coping with how systems are being done. When you get to the gate, you have to be screened, your temperature
Mhm.
taken, your details taken, sanitized, and the servicing of units as well. We had spoken to some of our clients that we can maybe service when you come in and maybe 2 days afterwards, but we finding that there are demands that units be serviced on a daily basis, and we have a protocol for that. We have PPE for our heart attendants, and those are strictly adhered to and strictly supervised. So we are happy with where we are, and that is why we have taken an approach of phasing in operations instead of going out 100%.
Yes, and I think it's a great way of doing it. You have to gradually implement things. And it's great to see the initiative and the management that the Kruger Park and Sand Parks have obviously undertaken. Now, Mr. Ike, I want to find out with regards to some of the things people won't be able to do at the park in light of the COVID-19 that they were possible to do before the lockdown.
When we go to the picnic sites, one of the things that we don't allow people to do is for them to cook, and
Okay.
they can bring in their packed lunch or breakfast or whatever meal they can, and just set up their table there. But we can't have more than 50 people at public places at any time.
So in terms of dry facilities or things like that,
Those are
they won't
still not
be.
open yet. They still not open yet. We're still observing, and remember, we have private operators as well in some
Yes.
of those facilities. And what has happened, what COVID has done, is that it has really hit hard on the small operators. So they want to see us increasing the volume of visitors first before they fully can operate those facilities. But to use the ablution facilities, you're more than welcome. We have deployed our people who are there to supervise that.
Mr. Ike, and in addition to that, obviously, what message do you have for South Africans who are getting ready to visit the park? What would you say to them?
We are more than ready to welcome South Africans, but due to the limitations that we have, we're asking for them to be patient with us as we refurbish some of the units that have been damaged, as we put online some of the camps that have been completely, they are not occupied at present. One of them is Orpen, which is very popular with people that like camping because it's out in the wild. That is going to be opened out in October. But for more information, I would urge them to go to our website and to visit our social media platforms, which is under the hashtag of Kruger National Park, and they will get all the information they can get. Those who had booked earlier, because we have people that book a year earlier. We
Yes,
didn't plan for COVID to happen. We
of
didn't
course.
know that it was going to happen. So those bookings, we have advised people to please postpone or rather choose
Okay.
new dates. That is still the case. And those who are not able to come through, we simply have to apologize for the inconvenience. But those who are in the park, it is the time for you to enjoy it because international travel is still not allowed. South Africans always struggle to get through to the Kruger National Park. It's now your opportunity to enjoy your heritage.
Embrace it. Yes, I think it's about time. And yeah, many people, I think, are in need of a holiday, a much needed break after this serious lockdown, but it's an unforeseen circumstance. But having said that, Mr. Ike Pala, thank you so much for your time tonight. The
Thank you
spokesperson
so
of
much.
the Kruger National Park, and it's been an honor chatting to you. Until we chat again, take care.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye bye. That's spokesperson of Kruger National Park, Mr. Akpala, talking to us about the effects the COVID-19 has had on sand parks, on wildlife, on the Kruger National Park. As you've heard, there are certain changes. So, yeah, the park will only allow 50% of camping and accommodation facilities as well. And also, yeah, there's limitations with regards to picnics. There is not going to be areas for prize, etc., things like that, just until things come back to normal. So share with us your interactions. Are you maybe there on your way to the game reserves anywhere around the country? What are you looking forward to most? Send through your comments on our WhatsApp line on 061 766 0355. It's now 45 minutes after 7.